we burnt about 70 million ballot papers. Imagine that one ballot paper costs 10 naira. Do the maths. We literally burnt 10 naira times 70 million sheets. Whereas this country is suffering educationally, health-wise, and all sectors. And yet we spend huge amount of money on an election that is disputed. We've got to reduce the cost of election. We've got to make the process in a way that is seamless. We've got to have a dashboard that tells us who is winning. We don't have to rely on one individual called returning officer or scope at the state level who determine the cost of all our voting. At the end of the day, sir, we would have reduced judicial impunity, in which case, like Jonathan said, that the people no longer vote. The judiciaries are not the one voting. We have seen that again and again. We must find a way.
Hello guys, welcome back again to my channel. I think that US election have shaped the table of our electoral body in Nigeria. And like Peter said, that should show an example to Nigeria government and Nigeria system of election and electoral body and rest, that this is how election is being run. That election should be free and fair, and election should be people's choice. But in Nigeria, it's otherwise. They give us people that we don't even want. Like, our choice doesn't matter in our country. Our choice doesn't count. Our vote doesn't count. Because I remember last year, everybody, when I mean every youth in Nigeria, came out to vote. And then you can say that there's no network to upload our result online, or is it that there's no service, or there's no light. They are giving excuses that is not meant to be given. And here's an example of what electoral process should be. US have shown Nigeria an example if they will learn. So let me allow you to continue listen to what this man said, because this man made a whole lot of points about this electoral system and how corrupt the system is. So watch the video. If you're new here, you can subscribe.
At what point who should be the appointed power? I've come to the final conclusion, maybe it's not yet final, that we must put strategy in place, not to look at the people running the affairs of election, but to look at the process that turn up results for the elections. What am I saying? It doesn't matter who is INEC chair. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who is the rec of INEC. It doesn't matter. What matters is that the people become the owner of the electoral process. Just as the election came out from the United States, even before it was officially announced, for your information, it has not been officially announced. The US election is not officially announced, but we already, because until Congress meet and there's a presentation of the Electoral College and there's an approval, it's a process. It's a process. But the people conducted the election. And how will the people conduct the election? By putting systems in place that when election holds in polling unit 1, the results of polling unit 1, it's not just by way of paper alone. People have criticized electronic transmission of results because of, it's okay to criticize electronic result, because electronic transmission of results, because of the possibility of hacking. But I have an alternative. There is no way, as already alluded by the convener, that if you have an INEC chairman, even though you sack all of these national commissioners, you sack them today, and you appoint us in this room, there will be error. That is when you start saying, see, Dr. Samamadi, he has changed. He has not changed. There are forces. How will someone like a Taisolari eventually fail in the faith bank, in the People's Bank? There are systemic challenge that need to be addressed, and you need systemic solution, not the people. I've taken my position away from the people to systems, and you can call it system theory. And what am I talking about? As we head to future election, not although will not solve what I'm going to propose, because the system is still the system now. As what presents to us an opportunity is the electoral reform. We need a huge organizing, the convener leading all of us, taking it that we need to reform the election result process. And how do I mean? We already have electronic means in our electoral act, unlike in the 2015 where there was no smart card written in the electoral act. Now we have technology embedded in our act, which means there's a legal form. So we have a BVAS. And the beaver's work is to snap the result sheet of the Form C8A at the polling unit level and then upload that for the people to see. We thought we have gotten to a level where we can rest, but it's not yet, aluta continua. It's not yet to roll. But what am I saying in essence? We need a system that has an electronic voting and transmission of results. But there's a caveat. If you go to collect money at a POS machine, you get a receipt, true of us. You get a printout. That printout becomes your ballot paper. You have that ballot paper stick into the ballot box. After the election is over, the polling is over, we tally both the electronic and the paper, the ballots. When it agrees, you send the one electronically. You can send it to a portal that shows to everybody in the world. You don't need human error. I tell you, the greatest challenge in our electoral system is the collation process. It is an opaque system that we cannot resolve in this room or this year. Why I say it is this: when polling happens at the polling unit, that result can be changed at the collation point. Those who voted are no longer there. And you ask me how? If there's an error, just one error, that result from the polling unit can be classified null and void. It is in a legal regime. It's allowed. It's legal. So where there are differentials in the number of polling, in the number of ballot paper issued and ballot paper used, where there are differentials, the returning officer at the ward collation level can declare that result invalid and push it aside. Whereas there's a party already winning who are thought they had won. That result is no longer added. There's another side of it. Today, INEC has actually dropped some, I don't want to speak about some legal issues around the CTC done by our friend, but it's also that there are evidence that suggests that INEC had downloaded or removed certain results on the IRF, make some correction and uploaded it. It is not the first time. It happened in Edo 2020. It happened in Edo 2024. It happened in Edo 2024. So you just go, because there is no system in place or no policy in place to check what can be removed and re-uploaded. If we don't put those in place, we are going nowhere. But I'm not even asking for that processes now. Let's forget about that process. Get the results in the polling unit, hard copy, collect normal collation, APC, PDP, ABGA, Labour, do all the collation, go on the electronic one and do your tabulation. It electronically tabulates. And when that is done, you press the send in the presence of everybody, recognizing that the result sheet from EC8A agrees with what is to be sent, and you snap and you have a valid result. So the one, no error of manipulation, no error of tabulation. It will reduce the cost that we spend on elections. Let me quickly give you a metaphor before I move on. In 2019 election, of course, 2023 election, you can do the math. Particularly 2019 election, there were over 80 million registered voters. And INEC will usually print over 80 million, let's say 100 million. And those ballot papers are currency level ballot papers with some features, security features because of theft or manipulation and all of that. If you look at the results of the 2019 election, the total number of people who voted, cancelled, rejected, were less than 30 million. In all essence, we burnt about 70 million ballot papers. Imagine that one ballot paper costs 10 naira. Do the maths. We literally burnt 10 naira times 70 million sheets. Whereas this country is suffering educationally, health-wise, and all sectors. And yet we spend huge amount of money on an election that is disputed. We've got to reduce the cost of election. We've got to make the process in a way that is seamless. We've got to have a dashboard that tells us who is winning. We don't have to rely on one individual called returning officer or scope at the state level who determine the cost of all our voting. At the end of the day, sir, we would have reduced judicial impunity, in which case, like Jonathan said, that the people no longer vote. The judiciaries are not the one voting. We have seen that again and again. We must find a way. I've already proposed. I know my proposal will have some defects, but strengthening it will matter for us as we begin to go ahead. I so rest my case. Thank you very much.
This man made a whole lot of points, and I think US election have just come to cause commotion in Nigeria, because then that should be ashamed of themselves that in this regime where we are, where everything is technically driven, or where everything is moving based on technology, and then we are still using ballot. We are still recording results by our hands, and like he said, no human is 100% correct. Mistakes might come in, and this is actually an advice to the government and the system and the electoral body, the INEC, that they should come up with a system whereby they will reduce corruption. That's if they want to, because I don't think that they want to, but if they want to, they should really find a system that will help them to regulate corruption in our electoral body. And you know, a lot of things happen in our country. Everything is corrupt in Nigeria, and this is an advice to them that they should curb corruption in our system by doing what? By making these things, as you said, happen. Let there be a system where you upload, people can see, and okay, be sure that okay, this was not rigged. Assuming that they did this last year election and the APC won, nobody will complain. No, everybody will accept this government with all happiness and all diligence and all joy. But from what people judged and what people saw, the party that won was not the party meant to win. But assuming everything was recorded and uploaded, and then we all saw it, and the APC won, we will take him hard appreciated on Nigeria. But what happened? It was not clear. Everything was all conning. So that's the point was trying to raise, that the government should wake up and do the needful and try to make everything work in line. But I'd like guys to every about the video you've watched. But to me, I think it's an excellent advice, an excellent video, and from that person that just made that assessment. I'll see you guys in my next video. If you can subscribe. Stay tuned, guys.